You know, I'm thinking about that quote that Alex from the Giving Block was sharing with us.
Yes.
Because yes, granted, people are really scared about the security of certain things.
Yeah.
Which brings another thought to mind, which I'll talk about in a second. But for people that are scared about crypto, those fears about the security of crypto are expired by this point.
Right.
Because he told us directly that the FBI was quoted as saying that they wish every type of financial fraud
Of course.
was on the blockchain.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you explain why?
Yeah, because essentially the blockchain is a ledger that cannot be messed with, right? It is forever going to be on the blockchain. The problem with centralized ledgers is that there could be corruption, right?
Yeah.
The problem with centralized ledgers, I mean, if we even just think about the central banking system, we've seen some of the most reputable banks in the world, they fall, they fail. And what happens? All of a sudden, all that data that was centralized, right, can just go away, right? Ultimately, what we find with centralized systems is that they could be corrupted. They're controlled by a few. The thing with decentralized technology like the blockchain is that it is verified in a trustless environment. I'm going to use some of these terms. You don't have to know all these terms. Basically, in layman's terms, it's a public ledger that everybody can see and that is verified by the masses so that people cannot mess with it. Yeah. And so why the FBI is saying that innovations like the blockchain are really useful and have a lot of utility is because if you've committed fraud on the blockchain and you've transferred money from one place to another and there was some illegal activity there is now a forever record of it. And so if you haven't been caught and you've committed fraud on the blockchain, it's just that somebody hasn't looked into it, but they can.
Yeah.
Rather, or instead, a centralized system, it could be tampered or things can be hidden and things of that nature.
Totally. I just had this interesting thought about convenience versus security.
Yeah.
And I do feel like they're at odds with one another. And what I think most people don't realize is that our bend is convenience over security. I mean, we could talk about the whole FTX scandal that happened. Convenience over security.
True.
People didn't even think twice about it. They're like, no, it's like so big. It's going to obviously like take care of itself.
Yeah.
And what I do appreciate about church leaders, CFOs who really are adamant about security is that thank you for taking care of your people, because you're looking at and highlighting something that they might not even be thinking about.
Right.
Because they're looking for the most convenient way. I mean, we know that 90% of giving today is done via debit credit card.
Yeah.
Convenience over security. But at the same time, any financial company that is doing their job correctly is already making sure that the security is excellent. And I want to brag on our team for a minute because
so good.
We have the highest security possible.
Yes.
Because we're thinking of all the things that you want to think about to protect your people.
Yes.
Those companies like ours that are out to protect people really shows that it's not about us. It's about funneling the vision that you have.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, I mean, security is so important. I mean, we do everything at Overflow, SOC 2 compliance, PCI compliance. We are as transparent as possible. We work with some of the best providers and partners in the game to ensure one of the safest platforms on the planet, especially when it comes to handling not just traditional credit debit, which we do, transactions, but the complex transactions, which are securities, stocks, and even things like crypto that is bringing us into this new age of innovation. And I love that. I do think that, as you think about, as you're a church leader, as you're a pastor leading your flock, leading your congregation, the thing that you have to think about is convenience. You have to think about user experience.
Right.
You have to think about security. These all should not be at odds with each other. These all should be thought of. What's so interesting is that one of the things that make the Silicon Valley is customer obsession. I was listening to this conversation that the CEO of Airbnb was having, and he is so laser focused on their customer. He eats, breathes, sleeps his customers' needs, his customers' pain points. And they're committed at Airbnb to continue to even reduce what they're focused on so that they can continue to make every stay. They can continue to make every host. They can continue to make every interaction more than even just a transaction, but a place that you make a core memory, that you can find a new place, that you can belong in that new space. In the same way, our team is so laser focused on the problems of a pastor, problems of an executive pastor, a finance director, an accountant, that we actually invited some people just a couple of weeks ago here to understand their pain points at a deeper level so that we can build that in the software. Yep. And if we can do that in the places and spaces of where church is growing and where resources are funneling, just imagine a world where that generosity is now frictionless, that those barriers are almost minimal so that the intent can now meet the action. That's what technology does. Totally. That's when we embrace innovation. Let's leverage these things. These are tools. A lot of these things are amoral. We don't have to be scared of it. Right. And if we actually get our theology right, the Bible makes it clear. God is sovereign over all of it. So we don't need to be scared of it. Right. If God is sovereign over all of it, our curiosity should actually lead us to not being afraid, but being curious about how God wants to use this. Yeah.